Welcome back to the second video of our hacking lab series, everyone. Today what we are going to do is configure our AD environment. So it will be the part of the server, Active Directory and workstation. Also as an addition, we will also configure Kali as well because it will be easy, just an import from the VirtualBox image. So let's get started. So first you have to create a new machine. We'll name it AD. It's Microsoft Windows Server 2019. Next, let's give it 3 GB memory. Next, create dynamically allocated 50 GB. This is the recommended size. If you need, you can increase the memory, but for our purpose 50 GB will more than enough. Create it, then start. I have already downloaded the image. Now you just have to select this one, but if you need to download it, just go to the first video that we did on the introduction, and I have left all the ISO links there. I will link it from this video as well. Okay, start it. We can use the same machine to clone to a new machine and use it as our server, but you will have to change one little property, and I will show that as well here. Release, install now. Select the desktop experience because that will be more convenient for you to do your tests and access the Windows events and other things. Okay, accept the license. Next, install Windows only, create a new partition. Now it will take some time for it to install, depending on your system specs, probably from 10 to 15 minutes. So let's wait until that. Until our Active Directory gets installed, in the meantime we can import our Kali Linux machine, which we'll be using for offensive operations. You can run exploits from this one, or open a shell to this machine, or create payloads that we can execute on our servers. Anything offensive related, we can do it from Kali machine. It is really simple because all the tools that you need will be in one single machine, so you don't need to install anything separately on this. Open it with VirtualBox. You start reading from that machine, and this is the default settings that it will require: 2 GB RAM, 2 CPUs, and for now, since we are connecting everything to the bridged, we will have to edit the network settings. Import, agree. Now we wait for importing to be done. Now the installation has been done for the Active Directory, so we have to type the password and confirm the password. Done. Now this should bring us to the login screen. Let's input the keyboard, Control Alt Delete. From here we can do password. Now let's check on our Kali Linux machine. So it has been imported as well successfully. After the loading of this server, we will turn this off and then we will clone this machine to another server. Okay, everything works. Now turn this off. As you can see, there is a trial period for this machine. It is 180 days, but you can renew this for at least, as I remember, it is 3 times. So that means you will get around 2.5 years of trial version. We will go here, shut down, other unplanned. Shut down anyway. You can force it to shut down as well, but I don't recommend it. Sometimes it gets corrupted. So before you take a snapshot, don't do anything rash. So here we can clone it. Make sure to generate new MAC addresses, because otherwise when we use the both servers simultaneously, it will have a conflict, because our gateway wouldn't know which is which, because both has the same MAC address. So we will generate new MAC addresses and we will name it server 2019. Next, full clone. Okay, this will also take a little bit of time, so let's wait. After the cloning, we will have our server 2019 like this. Before booting this one, we have to go to storage and remove this image from this, because otherwise it will try to boot from the DVD optical drive. We will delete it. Okay, we are good to go now. Start. Now we will have to change one property in this cloned machine called SID. We need to do this because if we connect this machine to AD, there will be a conflict between the same SID. So by default, VirtualBox will keep the same SID from the cloned machine. So we have to manually change that one. So I will show you how in a minute. So now the booting has been done. We'll input Control Alt Delete password. Click here. It will take some time because it's the first time we booted this virtual machine. There are some other background tasks has been going on and starting. In the meantime, we will start our Active Directory. Before that, we need to change our network from NAT to bridged, because this will make sense if you have been following our XOR series. We are doing this because this is easier for us to access from the host machine itself, since this will give us one IP in the same range as our host machine. But word of advice, never ever use this lab to test malicious software, because there is always a network connection between host and through the internet. For that, you will need to change this to internal network. So then no traffic or nothing will escape the virtual machine. Now we will start this. This one is still loading. Run. system root, sysprep, okay. Now we have sysprep. I will leave this command in the description of our video. So we have to run this with administrator privilege. Visualize. Okay, now let this run, and after that this machine needs to be rebooted. We go here, change this network setting as well, network bridged adapter, okay, this as well, network, because net will be the default value of all the virtual machines that we create in VirtualBox. If you want this machine to fit in the screen properly and use some of the functions that offered by VirtualBox like shared clipboard, you need to install what we call guest additions. This will make sure that this VM runs flawlessly with the VirtualBox. It's loading. Okay, this machine is restarting as well. As you can see, AD is booted now, and our server is still restarting. Change adapt options, double click, properties, okay, from here protocol version 4, list the following IP addresses. So according to our graph that I showed earlier in the beginning of the video, put 1.100. Subnet mask will be auto generated. Default gateway, you have to put your router IP. So for me it's 192.168.1.1. Make sure your host is running in the same IP range as well. According to that, you might need to change the subnet here. So DNS addresses, we will put Google ones, and my default gateway 1.1. Press OK. Okay. Close. Okay, now we have access to internet. You can see here internet access. Now we will open command prompt, cmd ipconfig. Okay, here we can see our IP address. So now let's start installing Active Directory services here. Add roles and features. Next, role based feature based installation. Okay, keep the default one. If you're wondering what this IP is, this is the local loopback one. Okay, so we will tick this one. Feature Active Directory domain services, and keep everything else as it is. Next, you can change these features after installing as well, so we will just keep it on the default. ADDS K confirmation. Restart destination server automatically if required. Yes. Okay. So we will click install. Now again this will take some time, so we will wait. Now the feature installation has been done. We'll close this. Let's promote this server to domain controller. And here add domain controller to existing domain. Add a new forest. Because we don't have any existing domain. We don't have nothing because this is a lab banner. Root domain name. We'll use something fancy like malware. Scary. Okay, this is failed. Let's check this. Well, yeah, I forgot .com. So functionality level, domain functional level. Okay, use the same password because otherwise, if you forget one password, you will forget everything. Not in the real world, because you know that will be bad password. Here it's okay because this is our lab environment. Okay, let this be completed automatically. It will detect automatically. Okay, done. Go next. All looks good. Moving on. Okay, ignore these ones and go to install. Until this one completes, we'll switch to our server. Okay, new password. From input, select control delete. Now you know all this stuff. So now what's left for us is joining this machine to our Active Directory. So right now we have 3 machines installed. One is server 2019 and other one is Active Directory, and the last one is Kali. So we are missing one machine, which is a workstation. In this tutorial I will use a Windows machine. Go here, new workstation, Microsoft Windows 1064-bit. Next, 2 GB memory, create. Next, you don't need 50 GB, but let's keep it anyways. Okay, now it's good to go. So we will do next. I already downloaded the ISO. As I mentioned earlier, I linked all the ISOs in my previous video. So here we have this. Open, choose, start. Okay, so that's restarted. And according to the diagram, we need to change the IP here as well. Change adapt options. It is better if we do these things before we connect it to the Active Directory, because then for each and every admin operation you will have to enter your admin credentials. So right now we have local admin access here, so the operations will be smoother. Properties, and one subnet mask. For the default gateway we'll use 192.168.1.1. Preferred DNS server should be our Active Directory server, so 1.100, otherwise this will fail joining the AD group. Alternate 8.8.8.8 Google. Okay, our network configurations are done. Now we have internet access. Now let's check our workstation. Next, install. New. Next. Okay, now let's keep this on for installation. Okay, now let's switch to our AD. Input, Alt, Delete, Control. See, now this is our domain administrator. Now our Active Directory has been rebooted. The first state of the business is adding more users to our domain, because when you are trying offensive operations, you can start from a normal user, that which we are going to create right now, and escalate those privileges to domain admin. So it will be more realistic scenario in a domain. So first we go to tools, and then we select Active Directory users and computers, and one eternity later we have our domain, and here are the computers, and here are the users. So we will select users. There are a lot of default ones. We will add a new user. First name, purple, exec, no initials, YouTube, no last name. This logon name will be exec, all simple because it will be easier for us to enter the username. Okay, looks good. Password, I will use the same password as the domain administrator. Best password practice ever. User cannot change the password, password never expires. Okay, we don't want to bother again changing the password. Password never expires. Okay, just to highlight, this one is a bad password practice too, but we need to create a little bit vulnerable lab environment because we need to practice. Okay, finish. Now this user will be created here. Until then, we will create server 2019. We will join that to our domain. Okay, our user is created as well. So now we will join this to the AD. Go to local server, work group, change. Actually, we will need to change our computer name as well because this is the same as the Active Directory. So, what is our new one? We'll put server. Simple and easy to remember. Okay, member of malware.com, scary domain. Okay. Now we need to add username. So this should be domain administrator, otherwise the user will not have enough privileges to add this to domain. Administrator. Voila. Our computer is now in part of that Active Directory domain. Okay. Okay. The things are still loading. Okay. Let's restart because both of the changes needs restart, both computer name change and domain join. Okay, close. Restart now. Restarting is done. Control Alt Delete. Administrator. This other user. Our username is purple. Sec. Our password is blah 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 blah. And as you can see, we are using the malware domain. Let's check on our Windows workstation. Okay, it's also installation is done. We will do some preparations of our lab. So the first thing first, you have to disable Windows Defender, otherwise every exploit or payload whichever you are gonna copy paste in this machine will be quarantined by Defender. So let's disable Defender, and it's easier for you to disable Firewall as well when you are taking reverse TCP, otherwise sometimes it will get blocked as well. Go to Windows Security, Virus and Threat Protection. One more thing that you can do is installing Chrome browser in this server. That will make your life a lot easier than using Explorer. Go to Manage Settings, turn off everything. Here you need to give administrator credentials. Done. Cloud delivered protection. Automatic sample submission. Looks good. Now let's go to our Active Directory and do the same thing. Just to show an example, I will install guest addition in domain controller as well, and other two will be installed too, but in YouTube editing magic I will remove everything. So if you want to know what I did, I will show it here. Insert guest addition. This will be mounted as an external optic driver. What you have to do is go here. It's just a matter of double click, very easy. This PC here, this is 64-bit, so we will double click on that one. Next. I will remove the Defender and the Firewall here as well, as we did in the server machine. Okay, done. Now we have guest addition installed in this one. If you encounter this error when you are inserting VirtualBox guest additions, I will show you how to solve this one. Okay, quickly go to our Windows Server settings and storage. At this VirtualBox guest additions ISO, choose this. Okay, I will go back to 2019, close this one, go here. Okay, now we have it. So the guest display resize will look like this here. Auto resize display. You have to click this one, and you'll get much clearer picture of here. So we have our workstation almost installed. States. One little drawback for the workstation will be if we disable the defender each and every time we restart the machine, it will automatically get enabled. Okay, since we have our server and AD both running and functional, we will set up our Kali Linux machine. Actually, it doesn't matter which IP we use for Kali Linux as long as it's in the same subnet. Select the first option. For Kali, the default username is Kali, default password is same. This works fine. Let's check if we have. Okay, we do have auto resize here available. Auto resize, it's better. Open a shell and config. Okay, we don't have an IP here. You might need to change our network configurations. Go here, settings, advanced network configuration, settings, IP version 4. Now we will save it. Open. Let's try our internet connection. Okay, we have working connection. Let's check if we have access to our AD server from here. Yes, we do. 01 our server. Yes, we do. So just a word of advice, if you have the firewall up, the default configuration of the server will be not to allow ICMP. So if you are trying from Kali machine to our ADO server and it's not allowing you to ping, that doesn't mean the connection is down. So it's just because of the settings of the server. So our Kali machine is up and running. Next, workstation. Okay. Sec. Super memorable. Okay. This is super memorable. Now our workstation is up and running. So we will check first auto resize. Okay, much better. Search for workgroup. Change workgroup name. It's same as that we did from server. So one more thing we have to change is our DNS server. Change select options. Double click properties. IP version 4 104.0.100. This is our domain control IP. Okay, looks good. Close everything. Change this. Let's keep the default computer name. Member of domain malware.com. Okay. Administrator. Domain admin's password. Now we have two machines connected to our domain, which is our server and our workstation, and we have our attacker sitting in the same network, which is our Kali machine, ready to exploit any vulnerable service or server running in the network. So guys, that is it for today's video. Now we have a functioning AD lab, and we will work on building new stuff and components to our network. Next one will be Splunk. We will add a SIM into this whole setup so that we can observe the logs very clearly on that SIM. So if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe to my channel because there's many more good videos. See you guys in the next video.